Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So yet again another week has passed and we've used the 714 method a lot, right? I mean, this week wasn't really that successful with the 714 method because we actually had some pullbacks that actually got us out of the trade, right? But yes, so far so good. The 714 method was still profitable and we still gained a lot from it, right? So obviously, as you already know, every single week I'll try my best and make this weekly analysis so that most of you guys who are actually watching these videos, or most of you guys who are actually using this strategy, you get the chance to actually do what, understand the strategy more and start to use it much more, right?
Now, with that being said, let's dive in.
All right, so let's look at Monday's 714 method. Now, with Monday's 714 method, even though I wasn't really in the trade, I actually have a video about me explaining it because it was one of the simplest trade that you could have gotten, right? It was also a retracement, so it was very fast and very complex, right? So let's look at it now. I'll be using this as well. Obviously, when you look inside this range, you realize that we were in an uptrend, which is within the 714 method. So our expectations were that price was just going to push all the way back down. Now, with this being inside our mind, what do we use to enter into our trade? Support and resistance, fair value gap, and another block. And Monday, everything was just closer to price, right? When you look closely, you realize that we had this massive rejections just around this zone right here, right? That was some massive rejections just around this level, but also not just only the rejections was happening, we also had a support zone right here. You can see it. Price had a support zone around this range right here. So if I mark this, it's going to be bulky, but you probably see it, right? So that was another support zone right there. So price actually came and respected the support zone level around this range. Price respected the support zone, came back. You can see price respecting it again, but we are still in an uptrend, or we are still buying. You can still see buyers coming in. So what you could have done was to just wait and see a reaction around this range. If price gets into this and sellers come into the market, you do what, you execute your trade, because you already know this right here is a very serious rejection zone, right? So obviously, yes, that was what happened. It was a very simple trade. Look at how buyers push price all the way up into this level and followed by immediate sellers. You can see sellers coming into the market. So this was your level of entry. You could have just entered into your trade right there. That was your confirmation that sellers are coming in around that range, because it's already a very good zone right here. So you could have targeted this level as your first TP, because that's right there is a support zone. You can see it happening, right? You can see just around this range. Yes, that was a support zone right there. So you could have targeted there as your first TP, because even after this change of character right here, price came back to retest and retesting it twice again. So that right there could have been your first TP, and you probably be targeting this double low right here as your second TP right there, because that also shows a lot of buying power coming into the market. Now, I wasn't really in this trade because I trade several strategies, and I was already seeing a strategy right here, which is a short bar strategy. I was on a 1 minute time frame, right? So this was what I was looking at. On a 1 minute time frame, I was actually waiting for price to reverse all the way back into this demand zone right here, which is this nice candle right here, so that I can actually execute my trade as well. But yes, this trade was very good. It was just one simple trade, right? It was just a very simple trade. It pushed all the way down very nicely, as you can see. It came all the way down. First TP hit, second TP hit, everything was met. It was very simple. But I was already waiting for price to come here so that I can actually buy, because to me the sell trend was elapsing, right? The sell trend had finished. This was just a rejection. And yes, that was what happened immediately after that. Price started waking all the way up. But you could have taken your first and second TP and probably leave your third trade at break even, which this trend right here could have taken you out, because a lot of people would have been waiting for a rejection back down from this fair value gap right here. As you can see, this fair value gap right here, which would have never happened, right? So yes, of course, it was a very good trade, a very nice trade on Monday. It wasn't really a big deal, right? Now, although some days weren't that good, but they were also profitable. So let's look at Tuesday and see what actually happened. Now, Tuesday was very, very simple. At the same time, price took us out of the trade. So let's analyze it and see what actually happened. Why did price take us out of the trade? Now, it wasn't anybody's fault, right? Sometimes price just does what price does, right? So this was what happened. We were in a downtrend within the 714 method, as you can see. So our expectations were that price should continue pushing all the way up after that. And despite this being inside our mind, we also know for sure that price goes according to its own will, right? Now let's look at this. Tuesday was very, very simple, and the reason why I'm saying this is, I mean, this might become messy, but just try your best and understand what I'm actually trying to portray here, right? So let's look at the trend itself. You can see where Tuesday's 714 method was at, right? You can see it right there. It was already as a baseline. It was already at a very nice support zone. Just look at it. You can see it right there. A very nice what support zone. I know if you are using a smartphone, this will not really look good on it, but you can see it right here. A very nice support zone. So all we needed Tuesday to do was to just wake another buy candle, just show us another buy candle, because this right here was already a massive supply zone. So all we needed was just another buy candle pushing through this level so that we can enter into our trade, put our stop loss just below this range, and we're targeting this as our first TP, right here as our second TP, and we're targeting this as our third TP, right, or our final TP. And yes, of course, that was what happened. So after price give you this next what bullish candle, you already know that this right here was a good support zone. All you needed to do is enter into your trade, first TP, second TP, and we're targeting price to get all the way up to this highs right here as your final TP. Now, yes, that actually happened, but price reverses all the way back down, kicking us out of the trade before actually reversing all the way back up again. So when you look at it, this was it right here. The final TP was above this range right here. So with the first TP at this double high right here, you can see it right there. The second TP at this high, which is obviously in this fair value gap, and the final TP at this height right here because of the rejections right there. So this was the trade. This was the marvelous trade on what Tuesday, even though we did not get to the third TP, but it was still a profitable trade, right? So this was what happened. Price just went to first and second TP. It was actually quite simple to get to the first and second TP. But immediately price went through the second TP, it just came all the way back down. Very, very simple. You can see it right there. Immediately after we worked through the second TP, you can see price dropping, coming all the way back down. It came all the way back down, took everybody out of the trade, but your first and second TP would have already been hit. So you would have been in a trade that looks like this, but at the same time, you would have been out of the trade because price decided to reverse all the way back down. That decision, nobody knows the reason why price actually did it, but yes, it reverses all the way back down. You can see taking every single person out of the trade before actually reversing all the way back up again. So if you're someone who actually wants to enter into another trade, you could have gotten into the trade again with this change of character right here, but you would have been prone to actually putting your stop loss probably below this range again, which is just around here. So entry, stop loss, that should have been another trade that you should be looking forward to entering into. But so far so good. It was a good trade despite price was rejecting all the way back down. It was still a good trade, right? So that was what actually happened on Tuesday. You can see price still moving. That was what happened on Tuesday. A very simple trade, but we actually went out very, very fast. So let's go to Wednesday and see what happened, because some of these days you just have to try your best and follow the trend and just leave the 714 method alone, because it's not going to be giving you a good trade, right? So let's look at Wednesday and see what actually happened. Now, Wednesday was very, very tough, to be honest. It was very, very tough. I actually made a video on that. I think I haven't posted it yet or something like that. Maybe I'll try my best and search for it and try my best and post it so that you understand what I actually went through. I had to wait for like an hour or two before I finally declared Wednesday's trade as what a no trade or no 714 method on that day, and I just went in and sell ahead because I was already in sales around this range right here. So let's look at Wednesday. Why was I saying it was very, very tough? You realize that we were actually in a downtrend within the 714 method. So when you look at it, we're in a downtrend, but it was in a trendy downtrend. Why am I saying a trendy downtrend? You see price pushing down, pushing up, coming all the way back down, and immediately pushing all the way up again. So yes, it was a trendy downtrend. And at the same time, when you look closely at it, you realize that we actually change character right here. So we actually change character somewhere around this range right here. And this trend took out this high right here. So when we change character right here, price was just trying its best to retest it. You can see price coming back to retest that change of character. So inside my mind, or what I was actually hoping for, was price to take out this high, and immediately after we do that, I want to see a break of structure above this range, meaning I want to see something that looks like this before I can now enter into the trade, because currently everything is telling me that we are in a what, a sell trend. We are not in a buy trend, so I don't really have to enter into any buys at this moment, right? So that was just what I was waiting for. And when you look closely at this range, there's absolutely no place for you to put your what, your entry, right? The only place for you to put your entry was way back down this range right here, which was just around this support zone right here. And look at the place that it was very, very far from price, right? So there wasn't really any reason for you to enter into a buy on Wednesday. So I was actually also waiting for a buy, right? But it took about 1 hour getting to two before I declared it as what, a no sell trade, a no buy trade, and I entered into a sell. So why did I enter into the sell? This was my confirmation. You can see the rejection right there, followed by the nice bullish push. So after this rejection, I actually understood something about price, which is very, very simple. You can already see what was happening. Price came back for the retest, which is the break of structure, the change of character rather, sorry. And we're just testing this high right here. That was all. That was just what was happening. Nothing important. That was just what was happening. And after this rejection, you can see that we actually changed character. To me, that is a very nice what, sell trend or sell confirmation. That's a very nice sell confirmation. Price has absolutely no reason to push all the way up like this and just immediately reverse. There's no reason for price to do that, right? And I was already looking for a sell. I was actually targeting price to push all the way back down to around somewhere 32.77, which was, I think, probably around this range right here. So this was where I was actually thinking price is going to push through. And even though we got there throughout the week, but yes, this was a sell trade, meaning you don't really have to be looking for buys. You can use the reverse 714 method. Just wait for a change of character like this. You can wait for another break of structure to be sure that price is actually pushing all the way down. But to me, this was my entry. That was it. I don't really have to stress myself that much. All you needed to do was to just enter into your trade and set your stop loss. Now your stop loss already has to be above this zone right here, because that right there proved to be a very nice resistance zone. Where should be your targets? Your first TP should be this low right here. That was what happened. That was what happened. A very simple trade. I'll think I'll probably try my best and search for that video so that I'll post it so that you guys will actually see it right. It was very, very bad, because the whole of this level right here, if I take out this, you realize that we had some couple of rejections. Let's look at these rejections right here, all showing buying pressure, but immediately after price reverses through this, we came all the way back down, showing that no, buyers are not really inside the market. That was just a retest to this zone right here before price will finally just continue pushing all the way down. So that was it. That was just it. Price came all the way down massively. We continued pushing all the way down for a while before we actually reversed around somewhere. Was it around somewhere 32.70 something, right? I think it was around 32.80 something or something like that. I can't really recall, but price actually dropped very, very nice. As you can see, it was a massive drop. So sometimes when you are looking forward for an entry with the 714 method and it's not really giving you, there's no reason for you to actually enter into the trade. You could have actually said that with this trend or with this level right here, this from this all the way up, you could have also entered into your buy and you'll be looking forward for price to push all the way up. But the question is where do you think price is going to? Because even though price actually rejected from here, there's no reason for you to be entering into a buy. You can see that there wasn't any reason around this level for price to reject. The only place price wanted to reject was this, and you can see that price did not even get to that level. Very, very simple. So even though we had this rejection, you should have asked yourself that question: where is price going to? Because if there's no BOS, that means price cannot really reach this high. And I'm not going to risk my funds being inside a very small trade, right? Being inside a very small trade just for price to reverse all the way back down into my stop loss again. I'm not risking that. I'm waiting for the big move. And after I see the big move, I'll enter into my trade. Very, very simple. So you can see how Wednesday was. I know explaining this might have been very, very complicated, or it might have been not really understandable, right? But Wednesday wasn't a good level for you to trade the 714 method because price was in a downtrend and we were just rejecting. So if we are having something like this, that's just a couple of consolidation. Just ignore it and be free. Trust me, that will save you a lot. So let's go to Thursday and see what actually happened on Thursday. Now, I want you to tell me something. Do you actually agree that Thursday was one of the easiest days that we've actually gotten? Even though it wasn't really going according to the 714 method, but you already know the reverse 714 method. So it made Thursday what very, very easy. Why am I saying this? Obviously, just look at the trend itself. We're in a massive uptrend, a massive uptrend. So we weren't even looking forward for price to come all the way back down. We were actually looking for that, right? Because eventually you realize that price actually broke through this level right here already. Price broke through it already. So all we needed to do was wait for a continuation, for price to just continue going up. Because the only reason you should have been entering into a sell was if price actually took out this low right here. Meaning we are now reversing, we are pushing all the way down. But so far so good. We're still in an uptrend, and I've told you, if the trend is very, very powerful, we've been in an uptrend and the 714 method is telling you to sell, but the trend is very, very powerful. Follow the trend. Don't really mind the 714 method, which is why we use the reverse 714 method. You just have to follow the trend. You can wait for a what? A break of structure. I've said it countless times, or price should give you a fair value gap so that you use that fair value gap to enter into the trade. Very, very simple. And that was it. You can see it right there. Price gave us that nice what? Break of structure, at the same time giving us a what? A fair value gap. So if you're someone who actually waited for confirmations, you could have just marked this zone right here. When price gets back into it, you enter into your trade. But so far so good. You could have just been in the trade immediately after that push right there. Your stop loss comes below this range right here. Now I was already in a trade on a what? 1 minute time frame, right? Because I was using the short bar strategy, and it was also around this range right here. I could see my rejections happening there already. So I was already in the trade going all the way up. But that was it. That was just it. All you needed was this entry. You know for sure that if it's possible, price might come back to this fair value gap right here before it continues going up. But if it's not also possible, meaning if price did not come back to it, you don't really care, right? So all you needed to do was enter into your trade, your stop loss below this range. But if you were fast enough when price was pushing up, you could have already been in the trade around here. But if you wanted a confirmation, you could have also waited for price to push all the way up to this zone. Closed, meaning price has already closed above it. You enter into your trade. Your first TP 1:2, your second TP 1:4. Very, very simple. So if we divide it into two, you probably get something like this: first TP, second TP right there. So this was the trade. It wasn't really a very big trade because we ended up reversing at Monday's lows, right? Price ended up reversing at Monday's lows. But yes, it was also a very confirmed yet very, very important trade. Price continues just waking all the way up until the reversal actually happened. So when you look at this range right here, you realize that price actually came back to retest that zone and also test the fair value gap. So those who actually waited for the confirmation, you can see your confirmation happening right there. You could have also been in a trade right here, pushing all the way up. That's how simple this strategy is, or that's how simple trading is, right? Sometimes you just have to understand where it is going and actually try your best and just ignore what consolidations. If you are ignoring consolidations, trust me, you are going to be profitable, very, very profitable. So when you look at it, you realize that your first and second TP could have been hit. You could have left your third trade just to see what happens, but you can see that around here price failed to actually push all the way up. So that could have been a signal for you to get out of the trade. This right here could have been a signal for you to get out of the trade because price failed to continue pushing all the way up. But that was it on Thursday. One simple trade. We just followed the trend. It's that simple. It's that simple. You don't really have to stress yourself that much. Now let's go to Friday and see what happened. Friday was quite fast, right? It was very, very fast and it reversed all of a sudden again. Now that reversal wasn't really a shocking reversal, but yes, of course, as you already know, we always try our best and enter into good trades, whether it's the 714 method or not. And the 714 method on Friday was a good trade despite the reversal happening, right? So let me mark this range right here. So this was what we were having on Friday. This was Friday's trade. Now with Friday's trade, you could have already understood two things was happening. One, we are having a massive resistance zone around this range right here all the way through the 714 method. You can see it right there. That was a massive resistance zone, but price was also in a downtrend. When you look at it, let's look at it very well. You can see price coming down, having a push and continuing to push all the way down. So obviously we were still in a downtrend within the 714 method, so we were actually expecting price to continue to push all the way up. So where should we have actually kept our entries? Obviously the reason why we weren't going to use this range or this wick right here is because of these rejections. We know that price has been rejecting a lot around this range, and if price wants to continue pushing all the way up, it has to break out this level. The only place that we actually had was this range right here, just around this level. You can see our fair value gap, and that wasn't it alone. The fair value gap was also on a support zone right there. So to me, if price actually came all the way back into this range right here, I'll be entering into a buy. That was what I actually wanted price to do. And yes, price actually came to it and we entered into the buy, right? But it was very, very fast, as you can see. I don't want to waste your time. It was very, very fast, very, very fast. It was just one single wick that went all the way through. You can see it right there. Just this was it. It was extremely fast. So when this wick came all the way back into this range, I got into my trade. You already know, if I'm going to trade, I go all the way down to the 1 minute time frame. So to me, this was quite simple to actually see because I can see price pushing all the way down around this range right here. But if you are on a 5 minute time frame, you probably be looking at this as a sell trade, right? So that's why sometimes it's very, very good for you to actually look at the bigger time frames as well. So why did I say the reversal wasn't really a surprise? Because you could also see that price was suffering at this zone right here, trying to actually push all the way through. So to me, when price got all the way back to this where I took my first TP, all I was actually waiting for was to see whether price is going to reject from this zone right here or actually continue pushing all the way up. Because I don't really joke around with my first and second TPs. When price gets all the way back, I take my first TP, take my second TP before we even get to the rejection zone. Or sometimes I just get out of all the trades before we get to the rejection zone because I don't want to be in a trade when we are in a rejection zone. I don't really need that right now. So that was just what happened. It was very, very fast. The only reason why I got it very, very easy was because I was on a 1 minute time frame. I saw this coming. It was a very simple trade, very, very easy trade. But yeah, that was it. That was the trade. Price reversed immediately after that. Trust me. And it wasn't a surprise, right? I've said it. It wasn't a surprise. Look at it right here. You can see that around this range, just around this level right here, price is telling you that buyers are no longer really in the market again because you can see the amount of push, the amount of pressure that they are trying to actually put into the market, but it's not really working out, right? So all you need to do sometimes is just look at the charts, understand what is happening with the candlesticks, and get out of the trade while you still can. So you can see it happening. Very, very simple. Price reverses all the way back down. You could have been out of this trade and it already gave you a signal around this range right here to just get out because price pushed through it, came back for a retest around that zone again. So that was another reason for you to just get out of the trade and be free, right? It was a very simple trade, but price reversed immediately after we reached this zone. price reverse. So you can see what was happening right there was just a consolidation, nothing much, just a consolidation. As you can see, price consolidated within this range right here, wicked all the way back down, gave us one fake out, then push all the way up to that range again, giving us another fake out before it now started a nice trend. Very, very simple. So that was it on Friday as well. You can see that yes, the 714 method worked on all these days, but so far so good. You just have to try your best and understand. Sometimes you have to wait, sometimes you just have to understand the level that you are going to enter, and sometimes you just have to understand what price is currently doing, which is if it's consolidating, you can just take your time and look at the trend very well before you actually execute. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching.